Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday, and welcome to this week's Books, Beauty, and Business live segment here on my personal Facebook page. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Gina Stockdahl. I am the owner, founder, CEO of Maryland Jean Designs, and today I really want to talk about patience. So if you are watching live, please put hashtag live or say hey in the comments. If you are watching the replay, please put hashtag replay. I am stumbling over my words this morning. It's already been a morning over here in the Stockdahl home. For those of you who are familiar with my home and or this show, you know that it's awfully quiet here this morning. So what happened is my husband actually has the day off. And so he took the boys to go run some errands so that I could do my live in some sort of peace. So we'll see how this goes. We'll see if we get done before they get back. I don't know. But I'm wanting to do a full beat today because I've not done a full beat in a long time. And if we're going to be talking about patience, might as well do a makeup look that requires it. Now here's the fun part. Like I said, have had kind of a morning here. Lots of neurodivergent big feelings today from the little guys. So I have not done any skincare or skin prep today. So we'll see how this turns out. So first things first, we have our primer on. I'm gonna be hydrating throughout this particular segment, video, whatever. Because it's supposed to be 93 degrees today with a heat index of like 110. So water and lots of it. So something that kind of came to my brain for today's episode was during our family Bible study that the boys and I do just a couple days ago. And it really talked about patience. And I feel like patience is a huge thing that we need when we are starting ministries, building businesses, writing our books, raising our children. I'm trying not to get makeup on my white shirt. And I'll admit, patience is the fruit. That's one of the fruits of the Spirit. I'll admit that this is a fruit that the Holy Spirit is still growing on my tree because I don't have a lot of it naturally. This is something that the Holy Spirit's having to really work with me on. But I'm learning not only with patience with myself for it being neurodivergent, and then learning how that affects, my parenting, my business, my, everyday life. But hi, Abigail. But also learning patience with my neurodivergent children, but also learning patience with the business because things take time to grow. We often see these things that supposedly blew up overnight on the internet. And if I'm being real with you, 9 times out of 10, it did not blow up overnight. What we're not seeing is the hard work that went into it to make it blow up overnight. So patience is a huge thing that I think I myself have to definitely work on. But I think Americans as a whole, I think our society is so everything needs to be done right now. We want instant gratification, all these things. And I just don't think that is as realistic as we like to think it is. Abigail's kind of popped on here, and she's going to be someone that's helping me put together the Write the Vision Collective. And we actually had a Zoom call yesterday about the podcast merchandise that my business makes for her podcast, but also the Write the Vision Collective, because I will fully admit that I get business ideas either from myself or the Holy Spirit, and I just kind of jump in on them. I'm like, oop, let's get that done. Let's launch it. Let's do it. And then they get done not well. And I either have an unsatisfied client or an unsatisfied me because that idea flopped. So I'm really making sure that I'm practicing patience and being intentional and not just jumping right in when creating this new collective. Hold on, I have a little case. It's not wanting to, there we go. It's not wanting to snap. So the idea for the collective, though, if you are new here, is to be a safe space for Christian women. I do not have much contour stick left. I apparently need to go get some more. But a safe space for Christian women to build their businesses, launch their podcasts, write their books, what have you. And we want to do it to where not only are we making a safe space where you feel comfortable to ask questions if you're struggling, but we want to add value. We want to add teachings, webinars, videos, all those kinds of things. So ultimately, I want it to be super valuable in growing the kingdom. And by growing the kingdom, we obviously are growing your guys' missions. Let's see. Abigail says, yes, or hustle culture with thinking you need to constantly have new goals when you hit each one. Don't forget to celebrate even the small wins. Yes. I try and focus on my podcast numbers growing consistently up, not the actual number itself, if that makes sense. That does make sense, right? I absolutely agree with that. And to be fully transparent, my goal for last month for Marilyn Jean Designs was to make $600 in profit. Okay, that doesn't mean that I only had $600 coming in, but my goal was to make $600 in profit. I did not hit that goal. However, I did go from being at a negative $162 to ending the month with a profit of $389.96. So did I hit my goal? No. But did I swing it from a negative to a positive? Yes. And to me, that is totally worth celebrating, especially in today's economy. So I do agree. Hustle culture is toxic, if you ask me. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have new goals or work hard to expand what your calling is. However, I think the culture of sacrificing family and friend time or constantly working or kind of like becoming a workaholic is actually somewhat toxic, specifically for those of us who are Christian women who have families, husbands, children, elderly parents to care for, anything like that. Because that kind of goes back into last week's discussion of, I think that's how we can quickly turn our callings into idols. Because then we really have to focus on not falling for the love of money, right? Because the Bible tells us that the love of money is the root of all evil. Not that money is the root of all evil, but the love of money is the root of all evil. So we do have to be careful of, having goals, but making sure that our heart posture is where it's supposed to be still. I hope that all makes sense. And if it doesn't, let me know in the comments, whether you're watching or listening. We did my contour, we did our liquid blush. Now we're gonna take a brush to blend our concealer. Because I'll admit that I can become a workaholic, especially because I have ADHD and I'm like neurodivergent. So I can hyper focus and I can just sit. Once I'm hyper focused, I can lock in for hours and hours and hours and hours, which can both be a blessing and a curse, right? I can sure get a lot done, but does that mean that things on my homestead or the homeschooling chart are left undone? Yes. And does that make my neurodivergent heart happy when I see that a lot is done on one list, but the other lists are being neglected? No. Because part of my neurodivergence is I am a completist. So when I have a list, I really cannot relax until that list is completely done. So which I know sounds exhausting. So I do have to be really intentional with how I create these lists. I have to make sure that the list for the day is realistic. I have to make sure that the stuff on my list is truly the stuff that needs to be done today, right? And not just stuff that I want to do. Hold on. Find my brush. Which that can be difficult with neurodivergence too, because let me tell you, I was diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, whatever, when I was 13. And when I was 13, I'm 34 now for reference, we knew about it, but we didn't know what we know now. You know what I mean? And so back then, what they kind of just did was kind of just threw, a stimulant at it and was like, all right, there you go. Now you can focus. And that's it. So I never truly learned that there's way more to my diagnosis than me just not being able to focus. Hold on. This is not the shade of blush that I want. I want the purple one. This one? Yeah. Okay. Abigail says that she relates to this so much, have worked so hard on being okay with moving things to another day if needed. Yes. And I think that's another thing from like our American culture of like, has to get done, has to get done, has to get done. Yeah, it does have to get done, but no, it doesn't have to get done right this second, right? It doesn't have to get done right this second. It's okay to go take a break. It's okay to leave it half finished till tomorrow, that kind of stuff. It's also okay to tell your clients like, hey, I'm on the struggle bus. This may take a little longer or whatever. It's okay to be truthful with yourself, right? It's okay to be realistic with yourself. Abigail says, it took me a lot of saying doing more can't add to my value, so doing less can't subtract from it. Fill in the blank. Will get done, just not today, and that's okay. I'm putting that on a sticky note. I think that that's a wonderful reminder, especially for those of us who don't know how to kind of relax. Because like what I've learned about ADHD and trying to run a business with it / homeschooling and trying to stay organized when the Lord did not give me a naturally organized brain is I want it all to be done like right this second. And then I get really flustered when I see like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. And then my brain will shut down, which doesn't help because then I get behind on my work. And then I end up having clients or contractors or what have you waiting on me. And then those of us with ADHD also have a higher sensitivity to rejection or a fear of rejection. So then when I get behind and I have somebody who's counting on me now upset with me, or I perceive that they're going to be upset with me, I end up avoiding things. And none of this is healthy. None of this is helpful when you're trying to grow a business and prove that God gave you these skills to help with whatever it is you're doing, right? But I've noticed this pattern in myself this year specifically. This year's been really eye-opening on how to balance these things as well as tend to my mental health. Sorry, I have like hairs from the brushes in my makeup now. So it's been incredibly eye-opening. It's something that I think a lot of us have to deal with, especially those of us like Abigail and myself who work from home. The mental load that can take sometimes can be a little crazy. Because like sometimes I can look at my work list and be like, oh, I have all this stuff that has to be done today. And then I happen to look up and I see the dishes need to be done. The laundry needs to be folded. The floors need to be vacuumed. And like I said, I get overwhelmed and then I shut down. So what I'm working on is reminding myself of kind of what Abigail said in the comments of one thing at a time. It's okay if one of these things don't get done today. We're going to do what we can, and that is enough. That's just a really hard thing for my brain to wrap around, between not just my upbringing, but also my neurodivergence and the way that the Lord wired my brain to be. I'm being more open and, what's the word I'm looking for? Transparent with everyone that I work with / deal with, like everyone that is around me, that this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm working on. This is what I'm noticing, all those types of things. So yeah, while 2026 has been a difficult year, it's been a major year of personal and professional growth for me. And I could not be more thankful for that, because I now see where the Lord is taking it. And that's kind of refreshing, I guess, for the lack of a better word. Refreshing in the sense of I can kind of see what his plan is now. Why I had to go through these things this year. What positive things were coming from the negative things, And that can be difficult. Sometimes it's really easy to give up. It's really easy to kind of abandon your faith at that point, because I think a lot of people also think that once we're saved, we aren't supposed to have like hardships, or like God's going to kind of save us from them. I think that's a common misconception. Or if you were raised in a way like I was, where I was raised in a denomination that kind of taught me that anytime something bad happens, it's because God's punishing you for something. I now know that's not true, but sometimes it's difficult to, rewire your brain after you're taught that for your entire life. So things can get hard, and that's okay. And that's a big reason why Abigail and I are partnering with 3 other incredible women to start working on creating a safe space for those of you who are relating to what we're saying today, so that way you don't have to do this alone. God did not create us to do these things alone. He just simply didn't. So now we have to do our part on creating the spaces on where we can meet together, whether that's virtually or in person, and support each other, whether that's emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, but that's the goal. So obviously Marilyn Jean Designs is a business, right? We want to make money. However, my main focus is not profit. Those are just numbers, kind of like what Abigail said about her podcast. Those are just numbers to help make sure that I am growing in the right direction, right? There are going to be hiccups. It's okay. Every business goes through it. It's really not like a huge deal. But the full thing is MJD is a ministry before it is anything else, right? So 20% of the profit we do make gets donated to 3 separate domestic violence shelters. I split the payment into thirds and donate it. 2 are here in the Kansas City metro. 1 is down in Sedalia, Missouri. For those of you who aren't familiar with the area, Sedalia is about an hour and a half south of Kansas City, which is where I live. But Sedalia holds a special place in my heart for 2 reasons. 1, that was where I lived for 10 years, from the time I was 15 to 25. So that is where I graduated from high school. But then the domestic violence shelter down there is where my best friend from high school and current, bestie, works as a therapist for the women and children that go through their programs. And so I do split the payment between the 3 of those. We also use our funds to sponsor, support, whatever, the theater, like the theater kids from the high school here in Blue Springs, Missouri. Just got eyeshadow on my eyeball. And then we are also a proud sponsor of the Green Valley Fair. So like we try to put this money back into the community. This is not just money like, oh, help Gina make money. No. Also, if I'm being fully transparent, another thing that we do is Jeff's money is like the household money, right? And then any money that I've been bringing home lately has been going toward paying off our student loans, paying off our debts, trying to dwindle that down. And if I'm being, again, completely transparent, the only debt slash whatever, like stuff we have to pay off, is my car payment and then our 2 student loans. We have no credit cards open. We have no debt like that. You know, nothing like that. Oh, and I guess medical. We owe one of the hospitals like $700 from like an ER visit. But outside of that, our biggest one is my car payment and then student loans. So what we're trying to do is use the money that I make after we donate and put it back into the community to dwindle those debts down, because we're going to try to buy a house. So just know when you're partnering with us, it's not about making money. We very much put purpose over profit. We like to meet people where they are. Hold on, setting spray. So if you see one of our programs and you can't afford it, I still want you to talk to me. We can figure something out, okay? Stuff like that. I want to focus on you as people. You guys are not just clients, you are not just money. You guys are people that the Lord has called me to serve, and I am dedicating my time to serve you well. And at least I hope so. So I hope this kind of all makes sense. Like the patience in it is what I really wanted to kind of focus on too, is serving people well takes time. Getting your heart posture in the right place takes time. Creating the proper resources takes time. Getting your, monthly revenue to where it will go every month takes time. Let's see. Abigail, do you have a graphic of what you donate to? Might be a good idea to share and add to my merch highlights so people know. I don't have a graphic, but I can make one quickly. And that's a really good idea. We should probably turn that into like a story slide that we use on MJD's profiles too. So that's a wonderful idea. Thank you. Also, finding your tribe that's going to help you grow takes time. Like I mentioned earlier, Abigail has graciously said that she's willing to let us, to help us with creating the Vision Collective. She would be our podcast mentor, and creating resources for those of you who want to create podcasts or grow your podcast. And then I have Kat, who's going to be like a business and mindset mentor. Heather will be a marketing mentor. Jessica will be a publishing mentor. And then I will be your design and branding and web design, that kind of stuff, mentor. So it's just one of those things that all of us have different abilities. And it kind of goes back to what the Bible talks about, right? How we're all a different part of the body, but we're all we are all a piece of the body of Christ. But we're all called to do different things. If you're called to be an ear, be a good ear. If you're called to be a nose, be a good nose, right? I haven't done a really bold eyeshadow in a long time, and I'm kind of digging it. But so finding your tribe can take time. And once you find them, though, you start really growing. Like Abigail gives me wonderful ideas, like making graphics of who we donate to. You know, Jessica helps me with a lot of my systems, because I'll admit, because I don't have a naturally organized brain, I don't think of how to naturally organize my business sometimes. And it's okay to ask for help, right? So just so you guys know, it's okay to ask for help. Doing a very pinky and purple look today. But I thought with having a black and white outfit, that having a pop of color would be fun. Abigail says it looks gorgeous. Thank you. One cool thing about having light brown eyes is I feel like I can get away with the bolder colored looks really well, I guess. I'm gonna straighten my hair, but I'm not gonna do that on camera because I've already taken almost 30 minutes just to do this. But this is what we're kind of working with at the moment. Now we're gonna put on our accessories for the day. So my bracelet for today is like this little slide. I don't even know what to call this. What kind of bracelet would you call this? But it's from Slide Jewelry. It's one of the brands that I'm partnering with lately, and they sent this in last month's bag. And you just kind of like put it on and you pull it to make it tighter. So this is what it looks like once it's on. I thought since this is a super casual outfit, I can't think of words, super casual outfit, that a kind of semi-casual but cute bracelet would work. We're gonna go ahead and do my cross necklace. This one's a cross that has a G on it for Gina, obviously. This one I actually got from Mardell, the bookstore, in their like apparel section, because when my husband and I finished our Discipleship 1 course at church, they gave us Mardell gift cards, and my other cross necklace broke. And I fell in love with this one because it's super simple, and silver kind of goes with everything, but also had the G on it, and I am a millennial and I love having my stuff monogrammed. Abigail says that she's not sure what kind of bracelet this is, but it is cute, and I agree with her. I don't know what you'd call this, but it's cute. Love one from Love Justice. Oh yeah, cute. Then of course we're gonna put my engagement ring and wedding ring on, and I always get comments about how I wear mine backwards, but I really don't care. I put my engagement ring on first and then my wedding band. This was not an actual set. Both of these rings are actually my mom's. This is a ring that she bought herself when she graduated high school, and this was her wedding ring when she was married to my dad. So it's not an actual set, so I'm gonna wear it how I like it. Don't know what to tell you, but they were free to us when we got married, and they're sentimental. So I did not want a diamond. We did not get married, for those of you who don't know us, until our son was about 18 months old. So we really didn't have a lot of money at the time either. So looks well though. And then it matches, because they're gold, my gold glasses, my little Harry Potter glasses. So I'm gonna do my hair though. But this is kind of the look. Abigail says that she loves it. I want one for, oh, my last name eventually. Yeah, I know. So I got a couple things that have S on my necklaces and stuff too for my last name as well. So, and then I'm gonna show you the shirt. So the shirt is gonna be kind of like the sponsor for this video. It's from Holy Looks Apparel. I do get a commission for if you guys were to go through that link. If that bothers you, then it's okay, don't use that link, but still go check them out. This front says redeemed, and then it's plain, so it's very minimal on the front. But on the back, you can see that it says redeemed again, along with the verse, and then it says by Jesus Christ, redeemed by Jesus Christ. And one thing that I really love is how it's kind of simple on the front, but bam, stuff on the back. So if you guys want to go check this out, it does come in a like blacky charcoal color as well as the white. You can get 10% off of your order if you use the code GINA, Gina, at the link that's in the caption. And that's basically it for today. I am going to be doing a transitional video here in a little bit of a before and after so you can see what I do with my hair. But thank you so much for those of you who have watched, commented, shared. Thank you, Abigail. Whole 9 yards. This segment has been brand new, but we've done it about 4 or 5 weeks in a row now. And I absolutely love getting ready with you guys in the morning. Again, I used to do this every single day. Once a week can be kind of hard to do because sometimes I want to hop on more. But I really do appreciate you guys showing all the support and being amazing. I will see you guys next week. Have a good day.